we've all been there. We think we're amazing. We're making this amazing meal and we're cooking, and it doesn't turn out so amazing. Joining me now to help us all in the kitchen is lifestyle contributor for Happily Ever Victoria, Victoria Sophia. Thank you for being here.
You know, I grouped everyone into two groups, those who can cook and those who don't, but we're all on a level playing field in the kitchen because, you know, we all will make a common cooking mistake at some point in our lives. And right now, a lot of people are cooking and they're not used to it. So let's give them some tips and make them understand, like, these are some things that you can stop doing as of tonight.
All right, so what are some of those simple things? Because I know it could be as easily as putting too much salt or not putting enough, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of simple things. So, you know, the first thing is a lot of people don't read the entire recipe before you start cooking. So one, you might not have all of the items in your home that you need, or two, by the time you get the items that you need for the recipe, things could be burned, things could be not that great, the flavors would be dull because you're not doing it at the appropriate time. So that's the first step. You always want to read the entire recipe before you start cooking. There's no point of finding easy ways to cook whatever you're cooking that night if you're not going to be able to follow it completely.
Got it. And is there an easy way to remember, hey, I need to, pay attention to what this says and not go off track?
Well, you just definitely go step by step, but find everything, every ingredient that you need, every utensil. If you need, like, you know, a mixing bowl, everything needs to come out into your kitchen, put it on the counter, and then you start your recipe. The next thing, because of that, you also want to make sure you use a pan or a pot or a serving dish that is big enough. That goes from everything from your cookie sheets to the skillets, because you want to make sure there's enough room when you're cooking so that the food isn't touching when it's cooking. That way it can actually be cooked through. The heat has to be evenly distributed. The sides have to be browned. Things have to make sure that they're not bubbling over because you've made, you know, rice in a pot that was too small. So you want to make sure that you're using a pot or pan or cookie sheet that's big enough.
Got it. Is bigger better? Or, you know, so you have enough room?
It actually just depends on what you're cooking. You don't have to make it, you know, a wild size. Just make sure you have enough room. And then the other thing is you want to make sure that you taste as you go along. There's no point in doing all this cooking if by the time you're done cooking and you plate everything, the flavor is completely off and you could have fixed it while you were cooking. The idea is to make sure that everything that you create is something that people want to eat with you. So you don't want to make sure that, you know, the flavors or the textures are unappealing because of the fact that you didn't taste as you were going along. You can make sure it's not salty, it's not lumpy, the gravy. You can do all those things just by taking a little time to taste as you go through.
Got it. So taste as you go along, but don't finish it, right?
No, definitely don't do that. I've done that probably a couple of times. You just think it's so great. You're like, oh, I love this part. And then you forget about doing the other things. The other thing people do a lot of is you turn the food too often. A lot of times, you know, you're just so excited. You see a lot of people doing that at the grill. They turn things really fast. Well, even in your kitchen, this can happen also. So if you do that, you'll lose the breading that you put on things. You know, things won't be cooked completely on a certain side. You'll have to go back, and that really sets off the recipe the way that it's supposed to be. So you want to make sure you give everything some time and then turn it when it's supposed to be done.
Got it. Now, is that it, or do we have more tips?
Okay, so my big tip that I always say is make sure you season pasta water. You can call it macaroni, spaghetti, pasta. Make sure you use salt. Do that, because otherwise you'll have extremely bland noodles, and the noodles might stick together. And that's the #1 cooking mistake that I think a lot of people sometimes make, and that's a good one for me to share today to make sure that at least that doesn't happen tonight with everyone.
Got it. And, you know, we're all staying home because of coronavirus. We're all cooking at home. We're trying to. These are excellent tips. Thank you so much for sharing them, Victoria.
No problem. I'm hoping everyone has a great meal tonight because of them.
All right. Thank you so much.